Good morning, everyone, and thank you so much for joining us all here today. Today's shiur should be Le'ilu Nishmas, our dear friend Menachem ben Yisrael Yaakov, as well as my dear aunt Rivka Bas Gabriel Tzvi, and for Zaidi, Reb Shmuel ben Yosef Dov HaKohen, and B'schos l'Refuah Shalema Bekarov, Mishalom ben Sarachel, Miriam Basara, and Yair Yeshia ben Chaya Tara. Today also, I have a special Le'ilu Nishmas for a very good friend of mine's mother, who her yahrzeit was yesterday. Her name was Sarah Yitta Bas Yosef. Sarah Yitta, I just want to let you know, you raised a wonderful, amazing young man as an individual in this world. He's just a great guy, and he does a lot of zechus and a lot of mitzvahs, and I just wanted to know that I love him, and as much as you love him, maybe not, but he's an awesome guy. Thank you. All right, today we are on page 298 in the Ora Vigdor for those who are following along. And today we're going to be talking about Bitachon and Mitzvos, how they coincide when we are working with another individual. So last 2 weeks we spoke about Bitachon and Mitzvos when they pertain to you yourself. So there's a mitzvah that you do that you get credit for. If you don't do it, you don't get credit for. And it doesn't help anyone else either. So if you put on tefillin, or if you put on tzitzis, you keep Shabbos, it doesn't help anyone else that you get that mitzvah. And the same thing when you do an avera. If you eat not kosher, if you don't keep Shabbos, so if you don't do something else, nobody else gets that avera, you get that avera alone. Now today, in the next couple of weeks actually, we're going to be talking about the Bitachon when it comes to mitzvos that are interpersonal mitzvos. You require another individual. And Chovos HaLevavos over here is going to break down how the right attitude is to go about being a baal Bitachon in those circumstances. He's also going to, in the introduction over here, going to give a bunch of examples of what kind of mitzvahs those might be that you could run into that are we consider interpersonal mitzvahs. That again, they require another individual, meaning if you do that mitzvah, you're doing it with another person in mind. Just the one example is tzedakah. You can't give tzedakah to yourself. You can only give it to another individual. And the same thing with the averas that we're going to go through. These are averas that you do, maybe you hurt someone else. If you don't hit another person, you can't get that avera. So you need another person in order to commit that sin. So let's get into this. The fifth part of Bitachon. And just to remember, there are 7 categories of Bitachon, and this is the 5th one. Involves a person's physical duties of the limbs, whose benefit or harm affects someone else. You're doing a mitzvah for someone else, to benefit someone else. And this is in contrast, again, what we spoke about previously, where it's mitzvahs that are duties of the heart and the limb, the same as this one, but they only benefit yourself. Now, he gives these examples. The duties affecting other people are like this. Tzedakah, Meiser, giving Meiser, tithings. V'limut chachma, teaching people wisdom. The Torah, v'tzavas b'toiv, urging people to do good. V'hizarei mehara, warning people from doing any evil stuff. V'lahashav ha'manis, returning owed money or goods, meaning if you borrow something, it's a mitzvah to pay back your debts. Ul'haster asoid, keeping a secret. If someone tells you, hey, let me tell you something, but you can't tell anyone, it's a huge mitzvah to keep that secret. Ul'daber toiv, speaking well of others. Right? You got v'lasas hatoiv, doing kind acts for other people. V'kibud avos, honoring your parents. Kibud aveim. V'kana hirashem elokim, humbling the wicked before Hashem, meaning you see a wicked person and you encourage them or you humble them in some kind of way. V'hayres b'nei adam da'ichet tevasa, teaching people the right ways to succeed in their lives. And this is not just in Torah. This is also in things that we need to survive. If you go out there and you say, hey, I know you're struggling with something. Let me help you out. Let me teach you something. Let me give you some education that I know. That's a big mitzvah. Helping someone doing a task in their life to be able to help them earn a living, that's a huge mitzvah. Having pity on poor people, treating them with compassion, not looking down on them, not making them feel even worse than they already feel. And patiently tolerating their insults when he urges upon them the service of Hashem. What happens is sometimes when you tell people stuff, they start insulting you and they say, oh, who are you, frump, you're this, you're that. Taking that on and not saying anything back. I'm encouraging them with hope of reward. Telling people, look, if you do this, Hashem is going to reward you in Olam Haba or even on this world. And causing them to fear the the retribution from Hashem, telling them, look, if you do this Aveira, Hashem is going to punish you. Don't do the Aveira. Now, those are some of the examples. Obviously, there are many, many, many more, but those are some of the examples Chovos HaLevavos gives. Now, having the right attitude when it comes to doing interpersonal mitzvahs. The right way to trust in Hashem in all these types of mitzvahs, the interpersonal mitzvahs that we are doing, is to keep the proper attitude towards all these activities and things like them as much as possible to himself and concealed in his mind and use them as needed. What that means is something important. When you have the opportunity to do a mitzvah, very often people like recognition. And what Chovos HaLevavos over here is teaching us is to not seek recognition for those mitzvahs. That the fact alone that you want to do those mitzvahs, they should be done for the correct reason, for the proper reason that you're doing it is for the mitzvah. Not because you're going to get credit, you're going to gain honor, someone's going to owe you a favor. We spoke about those things before. The motivation over here should be strictly but you should do it because of Hashem. And that's where the Bitachon over here lies. He says, in approaching these mitzvahs, he should consciously choose to do them. That is, he should take the moment to make up his mind that he really wants to do this particular mitzvah. And then once he does this, he should make his focused plan and put the necessary effort to carry them out. As we discussed above in the fourth area regarding the obligation to exercise free will, he is required to do all this solely to come closer to Hashem and not to improve his position with other people, Rabbi Avigdor Miller says. So to be clear, we need to have Bitachon in the outcome of this mitzvah that we're going to do. But our mindset is in this, and what he's in the introduction over here was trying to say is the mindset over here, the attitude what you should have when you're doing these mitzvahs, is you need to develop the right attitude, and which is to do it l'shem mitzvah, not because you are looking for some kind of return favor. So very often, again, we do things, maybe not directly, but we do things because we want something back. And the proof to that is that when someone doesn't do back for you, we might be the personality that says, oh, I did something so nice for them, and now they don't even do something nice for me. Or even worse, I did something so nice to them, and this is how they repay me. They spit in my face, they do something bad against me, they talk about me behind my back. Again, you are looking for something other than the credit from Hashem. The only thing you should be looking for is credit from Hashem. He should be motivated by the hope of finding favor in the eyes of Hashem, and not by acquiring a name among people and being honored by them. He should also not be motivated by the hope of being rewarded by them with gifts of any kind, nor by the hope of having power or authority over them. Very often, when a favor is done for us, we kind of feel indebted in a certain sense. And in a certain sense also what happens is when something happens, we kind of feel like lesser than the person who gave to you. And the important part of it here is to make sure that we don't do our part to make someone feel lesser. How they feel is up to them, but at the end of the day, we shouldn't put ourselves in a position doing a mitzvah and then making it a point that that person should feel like they're indebted to you. That's the wrong way to go about it. The right way to go about it is to realize that what Chovos HaLevavos is telling us over here is that our motivation needs to be strictly for the mitzvah. That's what it is. It's a mitzvah. A mitzvah has to do with you and God. You and Hashem. You get credit. And that credit, by the way, could be in this world, it could be in the other world. We want that olam haba credit as much as we can't conceptualize it, as we're going to learn later at the end of Chovos HaLevavos, of Shaar HaBitachon. We can't conceptualize what the reward is in olam haba, but that's really, really what we want at the end of the day. Thank you, everyone, for joining us all here today. And as always, I love you all.